Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of My Truth Podcast. Up until now, most of our journeys have been talking about how football has somehow proved a bit of an obstacle for some of the people that have come on the show in their attempts to make it as professional footballers. Even the ones that made it as professional footballers still found some obstacles in them achieving what they needed to achieve. Today's My Truth Podcast takes a different journey. I'm joined by a man who had the most traumatic start in life, and we're here to discuss his journey and perhaps how football's actually helped him along his way to get off that initial trauma, and how he is now doing so well today but still suffers. And he's come on the show today to open up a little bit, and I'm very happy to welcome Brodie Couzins on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
No problem, Brodie. Really nice to have you on here. And I think today's show is actually going to be very educational and emotional, but I think there's going to be a lot of lessons that come out of it. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand it over to you, and you just sort of tell us about your beginnings right at the start.
So, obviously, I was born in Islington, North London, the Holloway area.
Okay.
Come from a working class family. Grew up with my mum.
Okay.
It was just me and my mum. My mum was a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was. I owe a lot to my mum. But when I was the traumatic experience everyone talks about, which I think up until the last maybe month or so, because I've started dealing with these problems, was that my dad was murdered. He was actually the first man in Britain to be killed with an AK-47, if you want to go real into how it happened. And yeah, I was 6 years old when it happened. And I think for many 18 years, we could even say, I've always just kind of, I wouldn't say just pied it off, but I've just always used it as, yeah, my dad done what he done, and that's the life you live. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. But now that I've started looking at myself and in my personal life, doing things to help myself mentally, what I've beginning to understand is that it's actually taken a toll for the last 18 years.
Of course.
In my school life, in friendships, relationships, work life.
Yeah.
And even in football, it's had an effect.
Of course.
It's had a knock-on effect. And it's only in, as I say, if I'm honest, I started doing therapy.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Of course. So I just want to take you to that moment. So you said your mum was a single mum.
Yeah.
So at the time of this awful incident, your mum and your dad weren't together.
No, they weren't together.
What was your relationship with your dad up until that?
So I had the relationship of your dad. You see your dad at the weekend.
Okay.
And I've got a younger brother, half brother.
Okay.
So I loved going to see him, but when I'd go around to the houses, there was a lot of the time my dad would go out to work, whatever work may be.
Yeah.
And it was just me, my younger brother, and his mum.
Okay.
And I got on like a house on fire with them. I mean, after my dad passed away, me, my mum, my brother, and his mum went to LA together.
Okay.
That was a few years later after the death. But I mean, it was the, some days you're sitting at the window waiting, he doesn't turn up. Some days he would turn up and we'd go and do something fun. Yeah. One of my best memories is me, him and my younger brother getting to Planet Hollywood, and that was probably not long before he passed away. Okay. That we went there.
Okay.
But everyone always says to me about everything in life, you've got such a good memory. You've got such a good memory.
Yeah.
So I can remember everything from my childhood so clearly. So clearly, yeah.
So, I mean, I lost my dad as an older person, and it affects me now every day, and I'm dealing with it. You know, we're talking about 4 years ago, and I'm still dealing with that now. At 6 years old, you say you got a good memory. Can you sort of, how was you told when this incident happened? Can you remember what?
It's funny because just touching back on my mum, like a lot of my hustle comes from my mum. I've seen my mum hustle my whole life.
Okay.
Right. So my mum she had a cleaning job when I was growing up. Then she got a job at the NHS.
Okay.
When she got a job at the NHS, I used to have to get dropped to my mum's friend's house. I'd get taken to school by them. Okay. Picked up by them. Okay. Because my mum would do crazy hours. And then she'd get me and we'd go home.
And then you go home.
And this day, I don't know my mum picked me up this day.
She picked you up from school?
She picked me up from school.
Which was not the norm?
Not the norm. And we're walking home, and I remember it vividly, like we're going past the park, and I was standing on the left-hand side to my mum. This is how clear I remember it, and her phone rang. Yeah. She picked up the phone. straight away, you know, you get a vibe. When you get to a certain age, you know vibes, you get vibes, you know what's going on. She said, all right, cool, I'm going to go home. But we're literally 2 minutes away from my house. She said, look, we need to get home now. And I remember it being a fast-paced walk inside, and my mum sits down with me and she goes, look, Daddy's been hurt. He's been in a car crash. And I remember, you just, at the time, it's just like, what do you do? And I think my first thought was actually just run over to my friend Matthew's house. I knocked on the door and Matthew's 7, he's a year older than me. I said, Matthew, my dad's dead. Like, crying, but I don't think it really sinks in at that age. And I think that's the mistake I've made as I got older. When I've met people that have had someone pass away close to them, I don't really feel the sympathy.
That, yeah.
You know what it was? I went through a stage going, it's life, innit? Until it's my mum, it's life. And really and truthfully, it isn't life, because we've all got different stories, we've all got different journeys. And I remember being really, really upset, but went to school the next day. I remember telling a few people, like, yeah, my dad died yesterday, like, but I don't think it really hit home. And then I remember the funeral, my brother had chicken pox and my mum said, I'll have the 2 boys. So we never went to the funeral.
Okay.
And then after the funeral, I remember things going to like the meetings for the will, all mad stuff like that. And you know, when finances get involved, that's what tears family apart.
Yeah, of course.
Truthfully, is money's a root of all evil, and that's the truth.
But to almost protect you, your mum had told you that he had been involved in a car crash. Yeah. When did you get exposed to what had actually happened?
It's probably the only thing in my life I can't actually remember. I said to my mum a few weeks ago, I was about 9 when I actually went, no, it's about 6-7 months later. Sat me down and she told me what happened. But at this point, I'd already started bereavement counselling.
Okay. But
at the bereavement counselling, I had a lady counsellor and my mum used to come in. And basically what they'd done is they basically, at that age, they tell you to go and play with toys. And they analyse how you play with toys. And I kid you not, my mum was saying that I had this baby that normal kids will rock. I'm just smashing it all over the place, yeah? Then she asked me a question and I said something like, it's my mum's fault that this has happened. Okay. When really and truthfully, if you look at my 6 years, my dad weren't there every Sunday. It was me and my mum. That's who it was. It was me and my mum. So for me to turn on my mum, I think my mum, it must have been hard. And as I've got older, like my mum, when we're having conversations about it, if we're with close people, she tells a story. It's probably the one thing that hurts because I know that's that you had put the blame on her. But again, is it the start of the trauma that 18 years later is still sitting there? Yeah. You know, that's what sparked the anger. I mean, I was in school, I was always a chatterbox, but again, that was probably the age where it started triggering like misbehavements in school. So they've noticed that you're treating this doll. There's some sort of anger, bereavement management that's going on. Yeah. As I say, at what stage does mum or the counsellor, how did it come about where they actually told you this is how your dad died actually? When did you, and can you remember that conversation? I can't remember the conversation with my mum. And honestly, it's probably the only thing in life I cannot remember. You just can't remember? Cannot remember it. And I don't know if that's because you hear it, you blank it out, you don't want, or I just can't remember it. But I just remember that my mum always tells me a story of when we left one of the counselling sessions. I had a cousin and she said, I said, I wish my cousin was my mum. But the counsellor told my mum, stop stepping on eggshells around him. So my mum's turned around and gone, go on then, let her be your mum. And I remember going, no, I don't want no one else to be my mum. Do you know what I'm saying? But the triggering behaviour in school, I think people think sometimes of anger management, anger issues, you're going around fighting everyone. It doesn't have to be fighting everyone. It's sparks of temperament. I've shared a dressing room with you. We lose, I come in, I start kicking things everywhere, smashing water bottles about. That's not normal behaviour. It's not normal behaviour. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think we're going to come to why that potentially is. Yeah. And talk to us about school life. So, as I say, you've suffered something. Yeah. People lose siblings. People lose parents. People lose, but in the traumatic way you've lost yours. What's the impact in school life? Talk to us a little bit about how you were as Brodie Couzins at school. Now it's mad. I'm in year 1. This is crazy. Everyone knows. This is the problem. But not, as I say, like everyone would like me. I wouldn't be a disliked child. Yeah, of course. But it's if someone's going to get in trouble in this class, it's going to be Brodie. If it's someone that's going to be disruptive and talking, that was my main problem, disruptive and talking. And then, do you know how, this is how it escalate. And this is all the way from year 1 to year 11.
Okay.
I'm talking. Teacher tells you, can you be quiet? Who you talking to? I'm not talking. Brodie, I'm not talking. And now I look back at my school life, I was in consistent one-on-one battles with teachers. And it would escalate. Then you get sent out of class. Then this happens. But I remember in primary school, you don't really get sent out of class. The TA comes and sits next to you.
Yeah, of course.
But I remember in that year 5, I had quite a laid-back teacher, and he used to turn around and say, "We was on the top floor in year 5, go and run around the school." What kid has to run around the school? Really and truthfully, what teacher should let a kid run around school? But I knew, I didn't begin to play off of it because I'm not stupid. If I start messing about with the scissors, doing this, that, he's going to let me run around the school. If he lets me run around the school, I'm going to go and be disruptive somewhere else around the school. And again, it's probably, I was talking to someone about 3 months ago, and I was talking to their mum because their mum works with kids that are naughty. And I thought it was funny. And then the person I was with turned around and was like, "Why do you think it's funny that you're naughty in school? That's not funny." And as I say, now that I'm working on myself, it isn't funny, is it? Really and truthfully, because if your son's in my class and he's trying to educate himself, and you've got someone like me, because I'm not the only one in the class, obviously there's other naughty kids in the class, being an idiot, being a class clown, you're disrupting someone else's education.
Of course.
And but the only thing I did enjoy, I loved football. Loved football. Loved going around the park with my friend.
So what was your first experiences of football actually being important to you?
The cage around the corner. But I'm not going to say the cage as in I was a cage footballer with all the skills. I was never that player. I'll just defend. That's what I could do, defend. But we go around the cage, play 4 goals, 60 seconds. Of course, you do the run-outs and all things like that. But the cage was my first experience of football, and it doesn't matter where you grow up. In London, everyone knows the cage is the same place.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
A concrete ground. The Astros started coming on later on in life. It's a concrete ground, a cage, graze your leg, you get up, you carry on going. So that was my first experience, is going around the cage, around where I lived.
And playing with older boys, I imagine.
Everyone's
mucking in with everyone down there. So in terms of structured football then, in terms of joining this team and getting involved with that, when was your first experience of that?
My first... So... Again, because my mum was a grafter, I used to do this thing called Champion Soccer School.
Okay.
But that was only in half terms and 6 weeks holidays.
Okay.
And that was probably my... But that, again, I wouldn't really say that's structured. That's more soccer school.
Yeah.
I went to Finsbury Park FC. But again, that wasn't actually a team. So my first experience was a club called Asden Wolves.
Okay.
And that club probably plays a huge part in my childhood to my teenage years.
In what sense? Talk to us through that.
I was there from 10 to 16.
Okay.
Some of my good friends played there. And that was the thing. I remember my friend Faris said to me, his mum said, "Why don't Brodie come and play for Asden Wolves?" So I went, "Do you want to go?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go." Because that was it. I went on trial at a club called St Pancras.
Okay.
And they were good. And I think that's when I got found out and thought, no, these boys are good.
Oh, good, yeah.
Good. Like I think their captain went to Watford. He was at Watford as a scholar in the end. I think I was playing right wing and I ended up getting put in goal and conceding 4, lost like 8-0 or something. I was in goal. But St Pancras were the best team at Market Road at the time.
Yeah.
And
so you had to find a team more your level, basically.
Yeah. And what I realised is my level was the team losing 7-0 in the B League at Market Road every week. And so I joined this team, and I remember we had the only female coach at Market Road compared to her. And I joined there, and we were getting beat every week in the B League, every week. You know, you turn up on a Friday and you're thinking that... And to be fair, my mum used to come to my games on a Friday, and my mum would say, "Do better this week." Yeah. And I got given a number 2 when I signed.
Okay.
And I wanted number 14, Thierry Henry. Got given a number 2, and from that, after that first year, we got battered. I remember the second year, they said, "What number do you want?" I started loving Gary Neville, man. I think I must have been the only person in the world that liked Gary Neville as much as I said, "I want number 2.
Number 2, yeah. I want my number back.
But this is where I learnt a lot about football. We had Dave O'Brien. So I've got a friend and a client, Aidan O'Brien, played for Ireland, Millwall, Sunderland, he's at now.
Okay.
His dad was our head coach. And on one of my first training sessions in the pre-season, I saw this boy running around Paradise Park. When can I stop running? Dave said, "You're going to keep running because you don't know how to behave." Found out it was his son.
Okay.
So that pre-season, Dave come, first session, he said, "Tash is still your coach, but I'm taking the pre-season." Cool. There's not one football in sight. We're under what? Under 12s?
12s, yeah.
There's not one football in sight.
Yeah.
Thinking, what kind of football is this? He said, you're going to run. You're going to get fit. Because once you get fit, you win football matches. You don't lose 6-0, 7-0, 4-0. He had us running 2 times a week, non-stop, right? And then he put us into a tournament with all the best teams in the league above. We went there, we won the tournament, unbeaten. Beat FDS, beat St Pancras. It was like, what? Went into the season, we went unbeaten. The whole season, didn't lose one game. We were unbelievable. And we had good players playing with us, like good young players. We had a kid that was a year younger. He come up, played up front. He ended up getting scattered for Millwall.
So you saw the importance of
fitness.
Which
is such a, for what I do now.
Yeah, exactly. We'll come on to that. But it's funny how that was ingrained in you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm beginning to hear some really positive stuff in terms of the football and how that's impacting you. But alongside this, school's still going on, and school life is still messy. Talk to me about what's going on in school. Whilst your football's now beginning to take shape, what's going on in school?
So I've gone into year 6, and I've been put in this class, NCY, never forget it. And so where I live, the estate's actually around the corner. So I live in council split houses, estate's around the corner. Got put in my class, got talking to this kid, he lives in the estate.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, I want to start going around to the estate with him. Don't want to be playing outside and in the cage no more. I want to go around to the estate's cage.
Okay.
And so that was the first thing. Mum, can I go around there? No. Can I go around there? No. So now it's the case, all right, I'm going around to the cage. But I'm not going around to the cage. Around there.
Okay.
Second day in school, you know, everyone's finding their feet. I had a big, massive Arsenal bag. It looked like a jetpack, they used to call it. My trousers were too big. My blazer was too big. My kickers were too big. My tie was all the way down here. And there was a teacher. And I didn't know who he was, but he was standing at the top of the stairs with an Arsenal tie on. So now I'm with everyone. Don't really know anyone. Know a few people from my primary school. Walking up the stairs. See this Arsenal tie. Nice tie, mate. Second day in year 7, you call a teacher mate to start off with. He's going, can you not talk to me like that, young man? Can you carry on walking? I've pulled his tie off. I've pulled, and it was a clip-on tie because he worked for Arsenal. He was a steward at Arsenal. Mark Franklin, still talk to him to this day. Wearing a clip-on tie. I pulled the tie off.
And you've pulled it off.
He's grabbed me and gone, are you mad? My second day of secondary school, I've been sent home. So you've gone from primary school where it's never been a case of you're going to get kicked out of primary school, but you're just consistently disruptive. Yeah. I would do things like my friend in primary school was he was a good kid. He was a bit of a nerd. He was a really clever kid. He got put on the naughty wall. At the time, it was called the white wall. I'll bowl up to the deputy head. Take him off the wall. What? Take him off the wall. Go to the head teacher's office. I think I actually done. You remember SATs? That was I done my SATs in the head teacher's office. Some of my SATs I done in the head teacher's office because it was like we can't let him in the class.
Can't let him in the class.
We'll do something stupid probably. And I done. Yeah, as I said, I done some of my SATs in the head teacher's office. But I wasn't a disliked kid. I was never disliked. I'd always, at the end of it, I'd always say, sorry, miss. Sorry, sir. Like, I just...
So, this show is we start to piece together stuff and we really appreciate you coming on and opening up. But I think I spoke to you before when we had our chat and I was saying, what are you putting some of this behaviour down to? Obviously, a young boy, mum and dad's not together. So you're coming from a sort of a broken background. Then dad... obviously traumatically dies. There's a lot of attention seeking in some of the behaviour that I'm seeing.
To this day, I do attention seeking. To this day, there's attention seeking. And it's about time in my life I hold my hands up and say, kicking bottles around is attention seeking. You know, things I do is, like if I'm watching a programme on telly like Love Island, and I'm just sitting there, idiot. Just shut up and watch the program.
Watch the show.
It's attention seeking.
Yeah, of course.
And it's, again, in my life, it's about time you stand up, your hand up, you go, listen, this is all attention seeking.
Not all of it is your fault, obviously.
Do you know why it's strange? Because my mum, listen, everyone would say they got the best mum in the world.
Yeah, of course.
But my mum, what she done, smashed it. Smashed it. I was raised properly. Like, we didn't have a lot of money, and we've had, I'm not going to go into all the sob stories, but we've had moments.
Yeah, of course.
Where it was really hard.
Yeah, of course.
But I give it to my mum. We went away most years. So she saved up most of her money to go on teletext and we'd get a teletext holiday. Do you know what I mean? But in terms of like, when I went secondary, all the kids had Sky TV. I had a 1 to 5 box. There was no Sky TV in my house. Do you get what I'm saying? But my mum, she grafted, and we did get Sky. So when I look back at it, I feel like I was a bit unfair on my mum because she's at work grafting so I can get the Sky, and I'm just being a pain in the arse non-stop for her.
So it's coming we're in secondary school, and you know, you're now obviously performing well football-wise. I think everyone knows how good a sports person you are.
I was captain.
You're captain, leader.
The whole time.
But because of your behaviour, there's times, and I think it came to a crescendo where the school wanted to expel you.
Yeah.
And potentially it's your ability in football that's kept you in the school. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'll never sit here and say I'm technically the best player. I wasn't the technically best player in school. Far off it. There was 4 or 5 kids way better than me. But I was your old school right back. I'll put my head on the line. I'll work hard. I'll run up and down. I'll talk. And the first thing they tried to do is they said, right, you can't behave, so you're not doing football. You're going to play for the football team, but you can't do football club. You're going to do volleyball. Okay. Volleyball, me? No, I ain't. I'm so competitive about everything in life. I ended up representing Islington in the London school games for volleyball. My school ended up representing Arsenal in this Premier League for sports thing. We ended up winning competitions because the kids I'd go with, I'd say, come on, let's just proper go for it. Like, they're no better than us. They're just another school that doing this Premier League for schools. And so then it comes to a stage where there was an incident in school, which I won't go into, which was bad, really bad. And I was at home, and I knew it was bad because my mum got called up to school. And as my mum got called up to school, all my friends know this story. She's come up to school, and I've turned around and said, I'll be taken with anyone apart from her. I'm terrified of my mum. I do not want to be taken with that woman. And my mum's small. Yeah, size 2 feet. I see her marching up from outside of school. I'm turning around. I've looked at the school police officer. I said, I'd honestly rather go with you than go with her. She's coming. Where is he? So they've told my mum what I've done, and it weren't good. And that's why I don't want to talk about it, because I'm not going to glamorise it. It's not funny. It's embarrassing, to be honest. And as we was walking home, she gave me a phone. Give her my phone. She takes the battery out, takes the SIM card out. She said to me, you want to be this naughty bad boy, yeah? She said, well, guess what? You're going to jail. And we went back to my house. She took everything out of my bedroom. She said, right, these are the times you're going to eat. You're not going to leave this room until I tell you to leave. I've had to leave work because of this. You'll leave when I tell you to. She said, you know what this is? This is called bang up. This is what it's like being in a cell. Yeah? But I think I got a lot of friends that would, give it a rest, mum. Nah, I was scared of my mum. I sat in that room doing nothing. She gave me a pair of 2.5 kilo dumbbells and said, you can train in there. Yeah. And so
you were suspended at this stage? What's the situation with the school?
I'm suspended, but there's not like a 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's an investigation. And my stepdad, I ain't really spoke much about my stepdad. My stepdad comes into my life about 13 years old, and when I have kids, if I'm like he is with me, I'll be happy. I'll be proud of myself. And he come home, and he knocked on my door. He said, "Right, what you've done is bad, mate. But I'm not gonna go into it. But I'll try and get your mum to let you go football on Thursday night." I said, "Right, cool, that's a deal." He said, "Just stay in there." Yeah. I was not happy. First week, no football. Football. The second week, she let me go football. And we was walking, and she said to my stepdad, I'm taking him. Because he's walking there, he's not sliding off by himself. And,
yeah, of course.
And as we was walking to football, we see a friend of mine, and he was with a group of people I was hanging around with. And I remember walking, and mum turned around to me and said, I'm doing this for you, because I love you. At this moment in time, you think I'm the gov. I'm not. I'm doing this because I love you, and if I don't do this, listen,
we don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah, of course.
You know what routes you can go down.
So just to bring it forward a bit, what's the school saying? What at some point the head teacher?
No, the school's saying this kid
not coming back in. But what saved you? You told me that the head teacher was talking about.
Head. And at the time, I was doing alright in football. I was in year 10, and the school basically turned around, and it wasn't 100% because of this. The deputy head really defended me and said he's a good kid. I I was a likeable kid. He's good at football. And when I look back at it, I look at some of the other kids at the school and I think, I wasn't even that good at football, really and truthfully. But I was all right. I was, you know, and from the story I was told by my deputy, my head of year, because of the football and my attitude towards football, that kind of kept me in the school. So I think I ended up being excluded for 3 weeks. They called me back in and they said, you're going into seclusion, so that's the isolation, for 2 weeks. So on top of the 3 weeks at home, I'm not going in for 2 weeks in there. And you know what? A lot of things in my life, I push boundaries, I push until it's almost game over.
Yeah, of course.
Go into isolation, start messing about. And Mr. Franklin, Mark, LSU teacher, pulled me out of the room. He said, Brodie, you do realise you're holding on to this. Because I didn't want to get kicked out. I don't want to get kicked out. I go to a unit. And I said, yeah, Mark, carry on messing about. Anyway, do my 2 weeks in isolation, come out, walking down the corridor. But now I've got my shirt untucked. I've got my tie like this big when it's meant to be 7 stripes. Walking down scruffy. When I look at it now that I'm involved in businesses and that, if someone walked into a meeting with that, I'd think, I can't do business with you. So I'm walking down scruffy and teacher really nice to me. My maths teacher went, Brodie, sort yourself out. I went, give it a rest, miss. All of a sudden I've got this chip on my shoulder like I've been, like, what? And I think people were looking at me like, do you not understand the trouble you've just been in? Like, and there was 4 of us involved in it and 3 of us stayed, but 1 was super naughty. He actually was proper bad. And I think as it was all happening, he went, I'm not coming back. And he was off.
He's gone anyway.
And then, again, it was all attention seeking. Going into an ICT class and singing. Knowing I can't sing to start off with, but in singing, what are you actually doing that for? To get attention from people. And it's not like I want attention from an individual, like the teacher or a girl in I just want to entertain the whole class.
Everyone. So I'm going to now move to the point where there was quite a turning point. We can clearly see there's disruptive behaviour when you're in the educational side of school. Obviously a bit more of a release when you're playing football. But then there was a turning point, you know, where a teacher's come in and basically said you wouldn't be more than a...
So basically what happened was messing about in class again. And I got sent, it's called alert, and it's like where the teacher come and get you, they take you out of class, they put you in a room, but then you go back to your next class afterwards. So I got sent out 2 classes in one day, got put in the hour detention after school. It's in a lunch hall, there's maybe 35, 40 kids in a room. Head teacher, me and him hated each other. Yeah, right, hate. There was no love, hate. A lot of my teachers, it was love and hate. Me and the head teacher, hate, smoke. As soon as we see each other, you know, no banter, no talking. And he walked in and I was like, this is the start of year 11, this was. And he walked in and in front of everyone, he turned around and went, where's Brodie Couzins? But me, thinking class clown again, what, I'm here. He come over and in front of everyone, he went, you're going to be nothing but a shelf stacker. Now I'm older, I think, number one, you're offending people that get paid to do that job. And I think that's offensive to people that do that, because at least they're grafting. But at the time I thought, yeah? I thought, cool. That's what you're on? Cool. And at the time, I started going to, I got, Hayes and Yedding got in contact, and I think it was in the Conference South at the time. They just built a new training facility, they were building a new ground. And basically I was going down there on a Friday, and I've never been at academy before. I've only ever played for Aston Wolves. And all my friends were going QPR, Arsenal. And I, as I said, I wasn't that good at football. Going to these places. And they said, all right, you're going to have day release on a Friday. We're going to contact a school. So my friend that was in the academy, I said, what's day release? He was at Brentford. He said, oh, you don't go to school on that day? I was like, no. He's like, no. But his day release was that you do education and training on a Tuesday, education and training on a Thursday. My one was just, I left school at 12 o'clock on a Friday, got a train down to Hayes, and I would train. And it was mad. I was playing with some good players. Funny enough, one of the players there is actually one of my clients now. And the standard of training was good. This is proper decent. Like, they've got the training kit, you know. And I loved it, to be honest. I absolutely loved it. And after the first session, they said, you're going to come back next week? Oh, I said, 100%. So they emailed the school and said, Brodie's going to be on day release. And And then they said, but you've got to get your GCSEs. What GCSEs? English and maths, science. Or English maths. And I went home that night. I said to my mum, I'm not going to be naughty in school no more. She said, hang on a minute. So we've gone from year 1 to year 11. Of
10 years basically.
Grey. For you to turn around now at the last hurdle and go, you're not going to be naughty no more. I went, no, I'm not going to be naughty no more. Again, it's about pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, of course.
I've gone in, got my head down. I ended up leaving school with 13 GCSEs. I wasn't meant to get 13 GCSEs. 1 A star in ICT. To be fair, that was all cool, so I kind of hustled that. I had the teacher helping me with everything. 1 A in... No, I didn't get an A. I got a B. I got 1 A star, 1 B in history. But again, come to the last exam, and I said to the teacher, said to me, I love history. She said, you smashed history. And she said, if you do well in this exam, you'll get an A star. I said, if I don't do well in this exam, what do I get on it? And she said a B. And I went in there, I wrote my name on the paper and I put the pen down. I thought, I ain't doing it. I'm tired, don't want to do it. And now I look back at it and I thought, that's the only time in my life I've slipped that competitiveness and I didn't want to do better. Do you know what I'm saying? And then the rest was C's. And it's like, if you apply yourself from year 7 to year 11 or even year 1 to year 11,
what could you achieve potentially? Cool.
And,
but in trying to prove this teacher wrong that had come into the class and embarrassed you, and then also now finding that hazing your head in this academy environment that actually, you know what, I love this, I want to keep this going. You've kind of turned it around at the last hurdle to achieve some GCSEs and of get over, so your education now, you've come away with something they can look back on and say, well, you know what, it wasn't a total waste of time. It's tangible.
So I ended up going to, obviously before you get the GCSEs, I ended up going to the Luton elite development trial. Went there, the coach called Adam Belletta, and it was so professional from the minute I walked in. And it was like, it wasn't like all these other college schemes where you go to a college, then you train. This was all in-house in Hitchin. It was in Hitchin, called the Arena. So it was like scholars. Your training grounds here, you shower, you go into the classroom. There's no girls, there's no other pupils. It's just the players.
Just the players,
And he was bigging the scheme up massively. Gone into this trial, I thought, wow, the standard's high here. Like, I'm actually well off of it. Like, I'm nowhere near this standard. Hadn't even heard of a ping before. These boys are pinging balls about. What's a ping? And but in the last minute game, I crossed the ball in, and there was a player called Brooksy, still a friend of mine, scored a bicycle kick. Then I done what I do best: a header and 2 slide tackles. So Belletta's called me over and said, what's your name? I told him my name. Left to travel with my stepdad. And because my stepdad travelled everywhere with me in football, even when I played non-league. He's been to Tring, Milton Keynes. He's walked 2 hours to get to games, weird non-league places. And I said to my stepdad, I'm not sure about that one. Standard was high. Anyway, got an email and it was basically like, get your GCSEs and
you could join. Okay.
I've never been so happy. But again, that was the motivation to push on, get a C in maths, get a C in maths. But maths was hard for me. So what I've done is I said to my mum, I said, Mum, do you reckon you can get me some extra large school shirts? I think my mum looks at me sometimes like, what is this kid talking about? And what I've done was, the shirt, when you tuck your shirt in school, I wrote all the formulas and loads of answers on the shirt and then tucked my shirt in. So when I sat down for the exam, pulled my shirt out, had it all there. I got a C in maths. I wasn't meant to get a C in maths. And so after I'd done that exam, I thought, I'm going to do this on a science exam as well. So, do you know what I mean? I've always had the thing of, I don't want to fail, so what can you do to not fail? And I left school, and a lot of these college schemes start their pre-season when the college starts in September. Nah, I had my prom on a Friday. We were starting pre-season a week later. We started in July when the first team started, when the scholars started. That's when we started. Went there, you flip-flops, you know what your first day is like playing full-time. Like, so what happens with the shower? Do you take your boxers off or do you leave them on? Like, what happens with this full-time football business? Like, and on my first day, we done loads of running, and they put me against, again, a really, really good friend of mine. His dad lets me use the facilities for the pros that I work with now. Will Wright, he's at Dagenham. He's flying at Dagenham. And he was the other right back. So in all the races, they put me against him. This kid beat me on every race. But it was funny because every time he beat me, he'd say, any danger of you turning up to one of these? And it was like, half of me thought, are you mad, mate? I'm going to punch you in the head. And the other side I thought, no, push. And he pushed me. And after the session, I think a few weeks later, after the training session, he was, even now, he's unbelievable technically. I said, can you teach me how to ping? But for me at the time, to ask another person for help, that's
uncalled, yeah.
And he stayed with me every day after training. And for a whole year, we done extras, double sessions. And believe it or not, because of football, I started getting my head down with the BTEC work so I could be a week in advance. Because then I'd say to the teacher, Gareth, can I do double sessions? Can I do it with the second years and the first years? Because I've done this bit of work. And he's gone to me, yeah. And as I said, I hated education. Stand it. My handwriting, it's like 5-year-olds. Even now, my handwriting's poor. I'm dyslexic. But I was getting ahead of it because football's the motivation.
So, just whilst it's in my head, you had bereavement and aggression sort of counselling. When did that stop? And after it stopped, because quite clearly there was still disruption in you, hasn't no one thought, we got to get this kid checked out? Has he got ADHD, or, you know what I mean? There's other stuff that you could have been suffering from. In
primary school, I had a tutor in year 5 and year 6. Then in secondary school, it wasn't really acknowledged until I got Mark, who ended up being my learning support mentor.
Yeah.
And I had one-to-ones with him. And he was good, but there's a difference between professional help and I didn't have no professional help. And it was like, I remember when I was playing for Asda Wolves, I was the captain. We were unbeaten this is when we was under 15s, unbeaten, captain, flying, playing really well.
Yeah.
I was in an incident on the pitch where a kid tripped me over. I tackled him. No, he tackled me, but the ball was on our side. We had the ball. I got up, and as I got up, he tripped me. We're 4-0 up. We're about to win the league. This is in February time. I turned around and kicked him in the face. Everyone's like, what are you doing? I've been sent off. You get a 1 month ban. Because I can't remember what it called. I don't know if it's assault, but it's
close to it.
Got a 1 month ban, so I missed a whole month.
Yeah.
And my gaffer was my best friend even to this day, his dad. And he pulled me and said, Brodie, I'm going to have to take the armband off you after this season.
Yeah.
Because you can't, I'll live it with you. Won the double was the armband. Next year went back, armband was off for me. You can't complain.
So just on that, so when did the original counselling stop? Can you remember that?
The original counselling stopped maybe after, you got to remember, you get a little bit of private from the NHS.
Yeah.
And then it comes to paying. We can't afford it.
And then you couldn't afford it. So that's what I'm saying. So let's say this incident happened at 6. So you're saying by the time you're 7, potentially it's done.
They tried to help you in primary school.
Yeah.
But it's not the same because my attitude is you're a teacher. With Mark, I loved Mark. So I listened to Mark more, but it was more of, why are you being naughty in school? And this is what I've learned in the last 4 weeks. The trauma from when you're younger has now been carried through. But I've had to acknowledge it through me being in a situation recently which has crumbled because of my actions. And my actions isn't because I'm a nasty person or because I feel the way I do about certain people.
Yeah.
It's because I've got my own problems.
Yeah, of course. And those problems, there's different types of stress and different type of issues when we talk about mental health. Anxiety is a massive one for you.
For me, massive.
So talk to us about how football, even though football's kind of saved you in many ways, how also football triggers you. What sort of things happen in football that really trigger your anxieties? In
my 3rd year at Luton, we moved into, it was actually our friend's house, but he had a massive house in Luton, and he said, we're doing the personal training course, we're playing at football together every day. Why don't you not move in? So he moved in with him, and I was sharing a room with Brucey Ali, who played for Enfield. And he's the one that actually picked up on it. Game's on a Wednesday. Sunday night, I'm saying to him, do you reckon I'm starting on Wednesday? He'd be sitting there thinking, he'd say to me, Brodie, you've started the last 10 games. Why wouldn't you start on Wednesday? I'd be like this. I'm starting on Wednesday. Monday night, do you think I'm starting on Wednesday? Tuesday, the gaffer would say to me, Lee Cowley would say, starting tomorrow? I'd go home. Do you reckon he's telling the truth? Do you reckon I'm starting tomorrow? And it's only now that in my business, I've seen traits of that behaviour. Clients that have done 400 sessions with me in the last 3 years. Do you reckon they'll come back when their block finishes? Do you reckon they'll come back? Relationships. Questioning things that shouldn't be questioned. Friendships, questioning things that shouldn't be. And people can only take so much until it's like, fucking hell, mate, this is boring now. Mm-hmm. Your behaviour's boring. And I think my mum's had to deal with it for so long, but she's my mum. She has to live with it. And
so going into teams, so you've gone into, you've had some sort of semi-pro career.
Yeah.
And every team you've gone into,
it's the same story.
When you're not selected, what does that trigger inside of you? What emotions come out?
It's a problem.
Why is it a problem?
Me and the manager have got a personal disagreement now.
Yeah, but I'm saying for you, what wounds have that opened up? What is that fear? When you're not selected, what sort of emotions are triggered?
Do you know what I think it was? It's a little bit of like the fear of missing out. Mm-hmm. I'm not starting, so if the boys win, I'm not actually involved in it because I only played 20 minutes or I didn't play at all.
Yeah.
It's a team sport. And it's only now that I was playing for Broxbourne. Mm-hmm. I was at Cheshunt and Cheshunt sent me to Broxbourne. And there was an away game in February and I played really well that year. But our team was shit. We were bottom. Mm-hmm. And we went away to Biggleswade and I'd been playing well. And I got put on the bench. Saw my name, picked up my bag, went to my car. Sat in the car and one of my good friends, he's like my older brother, Eggy, very, very highly rated in non-league. Mm-hmm. I called him. I said, Eggy, I'm not playing for this club no more, mate. I'm going to come and train at Cray Valley with you because I'm not on the... He said, whoa. He's one of them people, he's really real. Yeah, there's no... You ain't good enough for you to be talking on the phone like this to me, bro. I said, yeah, but Eggy, in the last game you lost 3-0 and you're playing right back and you're telling me you're playing well. Call me and say that you drew 0-0 or you won 1-0 and you kept a clean sheet and I'll listen to you. He said, get back in that change room and remember who you are. After the game, if you don't want to be there, leave.
Cool, yeah.
I listened to what he says. Gone back in the change room. Mm-hmm. It's a bit embarrassing now, isn't it? Oh, he's walked out and he's walked back in. I went on at half time, losing 2-0. It's the first time I didn't really care. The anxiety was gone because I knew I was leaving. I played really well. Really well. Then I went to Cray Valley and trained with him. And again, I realised, the standard's high. You know? And, but at the time, I'd just got a job. Well, I was a fitness instructor at Fitness First. And listen, being a fitness instructor, there's nothing glamorous about it. It's a glorified cleaner. Yeah, you clean equipment, your whole shift. You do classes for free. That's how it works at Fitness First. And you're on £6 whatever an hour. But for me, my background was at, what? I'm £800 a month. I'm flying.
Yeah, of course.
I love it. And I remember Pete Pert, the general manager, being another person that in the fitness side of my life played a big part, turned around to me and said, I like you. He's a Tottenham fan. I like you. And I used to give him banter. And one day he called me in the office and he said, do you want to do the personal training or just want to be a fitness instructor forever? But I was kind of happy being in the safety zone. Like, no, I just do fitness instructor. And he said, but I think you're better than that. I want to give you a class. So I thought, you know what? If I'm going to do it, let me challenge myself. There was a Wednesday class, 6:15. Now, the gym I was in was a residence gym. So people would have to travel from the city to get home, get changed and come to the gym.
Come to the gym, yeah.
So I said, I'll take the Wednesday 6:15 class. There was only 3 people in it. So my mindset was, if I make it a good class, I'm the man. And if it stays bad, well, it was bad in the first place.
It was bad anyway.
So I done the first class and it was all right. They started this thing called Shred at Fitness First. And you played the CD. But my class was good. And I thought to myself, I've never listened to rules anyway. I'm going to change this up. So what I've done is I said to people, I looked around the room and I thought, you like house, you like dancehall. I'm going to make my own playlist. And on my playlist, I'm going to have house, I'm going to have Vibes Cartel. So everyone's loving it. And I'm not going to follow this Shred scheme. I'm going to do my own. I used to go in there and just make up these workouts. Kid you not, I took this class in about 6 weeks to 3 people to a complete sellout of 34 people.
And that's the capacity they could have.
Capacity, you can't get no one else. I was trying to get more people in there, telling them bring weights on the gym floor in and I'll make it work. And that's when I realised this is the first thing I've done in my life where I'm not getting anxiety. I'm not worrying about if people think I'm good or not. Come to the stage, no, you don't think I'm good, well, we'll leave the class then. Because everyone else lacks it. And then, but the football on the side was still a bit, it weren't going how I wanted it to go.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it weren't going how I wanted. It wasn't going to plan. I was in and out of squads. And So then, the reason I picked the personal training course is because Luton said, do you want to do a PT course or a coaching course? And I went home and I looked at the personal training and I come across this guy called, everyone will know him now, Jamie Velocity, works with Anthony Joshua, incredible. And I saw him and I thought, your life looks kind of fun. You only live once, so I'm going to try and do what you do. Sat on a train and I said to one of my friends, one of my best friends now, I spoke to him before I come on this, and he said, do not say it was me that said this. But it was on the train, I said, I'm going to try and make $1 million off of personal training. And he used to eat Subways before on the train going up to Luton.
Yeah.
He said, there's more chance of you playing for Arsenal and you're shit at football. And I sat there and I thought, watch. So I had this vision, but I didn't really have the vision because I didn't really know about business. Business is, that's a whole
different ball game. Yeah, of course.
So I went to I went to Dubai with my not very little money I had with one of my best friends, and we found cheap hotel, cheap flights, and we went out there. And when I come back, Pete said to me, "You got to start personal training. Stay as a fitness instructor, so that money pays your rent. It's £1,000 a month rent at Fitness First.
Yeah, of course.
And
then your PT stuff on top.
Started doing it, and I thought, but it's the only thing in life where I was going home and reading, researching, learn. I'm a joker, you know me. Everywhere I go, I got to run pan. But I was going home and actually studying. There's a guy called Strive Performance in Cambridge. I was driving up to him every Wednesday, and basically at first it was to become a better footballer, and then I asked him to mentor me and help me become a better PT. Another guy that's changed my life because he taught me so much about minor details of the body. So I got a friend. I know I keep saying it, but I've got so many people that have played massive parts in my life, and I owe him so much to. Hamad Ali, and I called him, and I said, I met him at Luton, and I called Hamad. I said, H, I said, is your brother still at Chelsea? He said, yeah. I said, can I give him a session? And they were fasting at the time, and Mukhtar agreed and said, meet me at the gym group in Edmonton at 2 a.m. Now, bearing in mind, I've worked all day for Fitness First, then I've done my own personal training, I've slept for 2 hours, and now I'm going here. But that's the thing that people don't see. Like that's. And
just for the audience, this player you're talking about is under 18 at Chelsea at the time.
He was an under 18, but he's playing for the 23s and training with the first team. Mukhtar, which I'm not going to go into, but for political reasons, I believe should still be at Chelsea. But there's reasons which,
we don't
not him personally, not he done anything, but around other things that goes across the board of football, which we're trying to highlight now, is why he's not playing. He's unbelievable.
But at the time, he was at Chelsea.
He was at Chelsea, smashing it, right? And so he came in for this session, and I was a little bit starstruck. I thought, wow, got to remember, he's one of the first Somali. Well, he was the first Somali Chelsea footballer, and he's one of the first Somali professional footballers. And he's good. He scored from the halfway line against Zidane's son against Real Madrid. So I'm a little bit starstruck. And he come for this session, and I put this session. He said, I really enjoyed it. How much? And I thought, wow, a professional footballer's asking me that. How much? Even now I'm getting goosebumps. And Mooks is a good friend of mine now. And so I gave him the price, and he said, yeah, cool, that will do. Can we do this time? Because I'm fasting. And then when I stop fasting, just before we go back. And when I look back at the clips now, when I trained him, I was so uneducated. There were worse sessions, but that's part of life.
That's how it is.
And Mooks has stuck with me. That was 2017. He's 2021 now. I've just worked with him. He went to the Olympics, Saudi Arabia, but I've done pre-Olympics with him, and a very good friend of mine. And he's even said the sessions difference is crazy. So that was my first footballer. And for me, that was probably I still wanted to be a footballer myself.
Yeah, of course.
So that following year, I didn't have a club. I was at Hitchin. Berkey at Hitchin said, you can come down. I played the first team game for Hitchin. And then I got sent on loan to Baldock, and then I ended up signing for Biggleswade. Loved it at Biggleswade. I've got a really bad ankle injury, got ligament damage. And I got ligament damage around my birthday, December. And it's probably the first time in my life I had a bit of money. And because I couldn't play football, it was the first injury I had. I was a bit down in the dumps. I partied the whole of December. I went Liverpool for my 21st, but the night before I went Liverpool, I went out. The night after Liverpool, I went out. I was consistent. New Year's Eve, drinking a lot. And when I got back, started getting back from injury, I realised, and this is what I tell my clients, drinking affects the body. And when I was getting back to fitness, I thought, no, I can't drink no more. And that's when I started learning about alcohol in the body and nutrition in the body. So I started studying that. That following summer, I had Mukhtar Ali, Clinton Mola, who was at Chelsea at the time. He's now at Stuttgart. And I had Anis Mehmet. He was at Norwich under-18s at the time. He's now at Wickham and just got Young Player of the Year. Unbelievable. All three of them, unbelievable players. And after that that off-season finished, I thought, maybe this is it. This is what my life's going to be. It's going to be a few of these under-18 players. And I carried on grafting with the personal training. But in my own life, I started doing stupid shit. Like, I was making all right money and I was doing things like, I crashed someone's car, went to get the car viewed by a mechanic and drove out of a BMW. And it was like, why have I just done that? I can't afford that car. You know, I got myself a Gucci belt. So now I'm doing the thing where, you know, you tuck your T-shirt in so everyone can see the Gucci belt. Because when I was growing up, kids in a certain part of my area had all this and I didn't. And for me, it was like, now I'm getting it. And so now I'm being silly with finances. Parking tickets, parking where I want, getting tickets, thinking nothing of it.
Nothing of it, yeah, of course.
I ended up building up a £3,000 parking ticket bill. And it's stupid stuff like that, which I think when you come from working class areas, you're not taught about taxes, you're not taught about how to look after money, because all we see is a famous thing that they say, but like, you see a lot of people, not kids, but people that don't have money, live this pretentious lifestyle. And when you find out really about them, it's like, whoa, that's not money. My wealthiest client now wears some beat up trainers and a white T-shirt, the H&M trousers. But I tell you what, he's one of the most successful men I'll probably meet in my life. And being around people like that, training people like that, it motivates you. And even in my life now, like, I've got good friends. Like, I've got a good friend that runs a great fruit and veg company called Hawks. And he's always motivating me, bro, come on, mate. What's the next step? What's the next step? And I look at him and his business is just taking the next step. And now I'm thinking, you come from the same background as me. If you're taking the next step, I need to be like Hawks. Got my other friend, he's got a clothes sourcing brand, Trend Sourcing. He motivates me. My other friend, he's got a carpentry and he's got a store of his own. And RT Carpentry. And I look at these people and I think, we might as well motivate each other. Yeah,
of course.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm surrounded by good people.
So what I really want to come, so I've let you talk because it's really good to hear you talk. And one of the things I am getting from you is there is a trail, as much as you're trying to be successful. And I'm glad you found your PT, because in that, you've used words in here that when I was doing my PT, I wasn't anxious. It was almost a one environment where, you know, I could really genuinely be myself and I'm really in there. In all of this story that I'm hearing, there was still trails of destruction. As you're trying to be successful, there's some self-destruction going on.
In my personal life. In my personal life,
and
I was doing stupid.
But if you give me a second, what I'm just trying to say here is, and I really think, because our show is about educating the audience, educating players, potential parents. And in here, what I'm seeing is a boy, you know, you as an innocent boy who is in the middle of a tragedy, suffered some severe mental distress. There's some mental trauma going on here. The system is only going to support you for a certain amount of time before now it's down to parents now. Can we continue to find help for him, or is the school system going to be able to help? And boys, in a way, there's boys like you can get lost in the system. So now you're being disruptive at school. No one can really put their finger on it. No one can really give you the support you need. There's only so much a training assistant's going to do sitting next to you. You get a lot of friends in life that, as you say, you've mentioned a lot of time. This guy, I still talk to him today. I still talk to this one today. They've played vital roles. So you've had a lot of support trying to build your life and try to build your business. What I'm trying to say is that with all that going on, there's still something to be dealt with.
Massively.
There's still this trauma to be dealt with. There's still the anxiety to be dealt with. And you started the show by saying you've started therapy now. How old are you now, Brodie? Just
24.
So you're 24 now. And when did you start your therapy?
Honestly, I'll tell you, I started my therapy. I'm not even joking. 1, 2, 3, 4. I started my therapy on Monday the 26th of July, 2021.
So, almost 24 years later, and this is very valuable. I don't think we're going to have someone on the show in the immediate term that's going to bring something like this. I'm so glad that you're now putting your hands up and taking responsibility for your actions.
You've got to, mate.
Because that's where it all starts. If you don't heal yourself, how can you heal the next person with you? How can you be a partner to somebody if you're hurting inside?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you've done that. But there's messages here. And one of the big messages I want, because we're trying to tailor this and educate people, is I've been a manager myself. I've managed you, funnily enough. And
that's not easy managing.
as a manager, I think the message here is we make decisions because we have to. We have to pick teams because we have to. We look at things in training and we say, right, we want to put this team out, we put it. I think there's a big message here of knowing your players. Because, like you say, a decision to put Brodie on the bench, which for a manager is like, yeah, I'm putting him on the bench. I bring him on when I need to bring him on. But that triggers something else in you. And if I don't really know what you've gone through,
100%,
or what you're going through, that little decision can spin off a series of events.
Listen, there's been managers that I have fallen out with big time because 50% of their man management ain't been great, and 50% is because my behaviour towards the situation hasn't been correct.
Of course.
But it's like, I remember there was a game with you, and I think it was Ruislip, and it was the second half, and I just started getting into the game. I see my number go up. I'm thinking, right, who am I going at first? Manny or Sean? Like, who's going? And I remember I went to cool down, and it was one of the Wiley come up to me.
Yeah.
I said, "Are you mad?" He said to me, "Brodie, relax." I said to him, "No." But what I started doing is, because personal training is now my life, I started telling myself, hang on a minute, I'm still going to work in the morning. This ain't going to affect my life.
Yeah, your business there.
But before the business, I'm coming in the change room and I'm coming at the manager. And the best players in the world can't do that. And I'm not the best player in the team. So what gives me the right to do it? But as you say, it's because you don't understand.
Yeah, I say lessons learned for both. You have to handle yourself a certain way, but I'm just looking at managers. There's a lot of managers, whether you're managing a grassroots team, whether you're managing a semi-pro team, whether you're managing a professional team. You've got to understand the players that you're dealing with.
That's a hard job.
Fully, it's a big job. But you have to, because then, I'm not saying that's going to change my decision. It might not, I'm not now going to not put Brodie sub because of how he might react. But at least I know the consequences and I can look out for certain things. I might get you into my office beforehand. So you know what, Brodie, blah, blah, and I can deal with it a different way. So I think that's a lesson that's come out of here. Another big lesson, and I think this is the biggest lesson of your story, is you potentially started out wanting to be a footballer. I
didn't want to be anything else.
Potentially.
I didn't want to be anything else.
Most boys do. And rather than dwelling on the disappointment when it doesn't happen, you've still managed to find a way to where today you're training up to, I think we spoke, up to 25 professional footballers.
And we're talking at
players that have played professionally.
Plays for Arsenal, England, Cole Walker-Peters, Southampton, Cole De Silva, Jay De Silva, Aidan O'Brien,
Carl Walker-Peters.
Yeah.
You were saying
Josh
there.
Onoma.
So the list is endless.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, and this is a very, very important message to some of the young kids today who, when certain things don't go their way in their aim of trying to become a football player, they think that's it, nothing else. Personal training, physio, coaching, media. There's so many ways you can get involved in football, to the point where you're probably now more involved in football at a higher level 100%. Than you would have ever dreamt about trying 100%. To play the game yourself.
100%. And I'm not even funny, it's like professional footballers have cooks now. If you're good at cooking and you love football, why don't you get in with a professional footballer?
One of my best mates has gone and learned how to be a chauffeur. Because he realises I can go and chauffeur some of these footballers around. There's so many ways of getting involved in football that just being a player itself is not the be all and end all.
Again, the problem that I had, and this is, I think this was at Enfield mainly. I got a big ego. My granddad, he's always said to me, your ego, boy, he'll ruin you. And it got to the stage where if I weren't being picked, I'm not kicking anything about no more. I'd walk in and say something stupid. Well, anyway, you lot, I'm gonna go and train Mukhtar Ali tomorrow. Why'd you have to be muggy and flash for? And this is something else. I'm now looking at myself thinking, you're better off just going, all right, boy, see you later. Get in your car and rant to your pals or something. the ego, that's another thing that kills players. Do you know how many players I've been with? And I think your ego has just killed you. And now that, I mean, I've got ego outside of football, but now I haven't got the ego in football. I look at them and think, your ego's going to ruin you. In the non-league level, your ego's going to ruin you.
So you can help with your story.
Because the one thing that I'd say is every single professional footballer I've worked with are so humble. They're so humble. And it's like, you then drop into non-league and you've got matey boy coming with a Louis Vuitton wash bag.
Of course.
Mate, you're £100 a week. Do you get what I'm saying? The top players that I've worked with, I'm not lying to you, I've never come across anyone that I thought, you're an arsehole, man. They're all so humble. And it's like, again, going back into the mental side of life and like, you know, like, obviously I'm a part of Fresh Ego FC with Marvin Morgan.
Okay.
And what Marvin's doing down there is, honestly, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And we've got a lot of big names, comedians supporting the movement. Because when I first worked with, the first big name that called my phone, I remember I was sitting at home and my phone rang, it was no call ID, I picked up. Remember, I loved football. Hello, who's this? No Ranger. Shut up, put down the phone. So I thought someone out there knows that my dream's to work with professional football. Phone rang again. I don't pick up no quick. Picked up the phone, hello. Honestly, it's no Ranger. I said, all right, prove it. He followed me, he liked my photos. So I said, all right, let's do a session tomorrow. He come down, cut a long story short, I posted him on my Instagram, he posted him. Mate, the messages of abuse I got, all of it was like,
just being associated.
It was like, well done, Brodie, you've done well, but he's this, that. I'm not even going to say the things he was being called.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And I looked at it and I thought, fuck, is this what footballers got to deal with? I don't even want to be a footballer. And then a few years later, I worked with another pro who was playing for Tottenham. I posted him. I'll never forget, I got a message saying, put laxatives in his protein shake and watch his belly turn. Come on, you Gunners. And I'm thinking, and I showed him, he went, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
I thought that shouldn't be normal. And going into the because I grew up in a multicultural community, like there wasn't like, I think I was probably one of the white boys around the area. And I remember the Euros just gone. And when it was the last penalty in England to score, I remember turning around and the person I was with, I said to them, please don't let it be a black player. And they don't really know much about football. They've gone, what are you talking about? And I've gone, please, because I know what's going to happen because I've seen it at a very small scale.
Yeah, of course.
Very small scale. And when I see Saka step up, and I thought, oh, please, mate, please. And when he missed, do you know what? I got upset. And I don't think it was because England lost the Euros. I thought, I know what's coming. And within 5 minutes, I remember her turning around saying, oh my God, have you seen Instagram?
And it was really going off. What? So how do you relate all of this stuff back to what you're doing with Fresh Ego? Because
obviously, so Fresh Ego Kid was supporting mental health.
Yeah.
Anti-racism in football. It's huge because it's not touched on enough.
Yeah.
It's still going on.
Yeah, of course.
I get messages on my phone, dispute against your video because of copyright on the music. But there's nothing coming through about monkey signs and the words that are being thrown out.
Yeah, of course.
That's disgusting.
Constant fight.
That's disgusting. But do you know what it is? The music that I'm being told is being disputed, it's got involved in finances.
Yeah, of course.
But someone being sent a monkey sign, that doesn't affect someone's pocket. And people turn around and go, oh yeah, but they're on 100 grand a week, they're on 50 grand a week. So
it's not a reason for
money
the abuse.
Is nothing. Money is absolutely, it means nothing. And this is someone that I'm very money motivated. I want to be successful. I used to love the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. But now I've started tapping into my own mind. My business is all right. You know, but if I go down to Gucci now, Valentino, that's not going to make me feel better.
Yeah.
I'm still going to have these underlying issues mentally. So all of this, they want this money. Come on, get with a program.
We're going to try and get Marvin on board because I do think that movement, Fresh Ego, is really good. So we're going to try and get him on this show. There's something that hasn't necessarily been spoken about in this interview, and I almost want to wrap up on this one. And it is about the gang sort of lifestyle and stuff on the streets. And I know potentially your dad was involved in stuff that, you know, wasn't necessarily straight down the line, but at the end of the day, and loads of people will come on here, politicians will say things, everyone say things. I'm not here to be political, but I do want to send a message that in the end, that gang stuff doesn't work. Here we have, one second, Brodie, here we have you, a young man of 24, and an incident that happened when you were 6. So when we're involved in this gang lifestyle and we're doing stuff, we don't know the impact. Your dad had a young boy. So whatever happened to your dad, that he could never have envisaged the impact and the trauma and the anxiety and the countless relationships that have been destroyed because of the lifestyle he was leading. So at the end of the day, you're, and it's unfortunate that it's you, but you're sort of the victim of a sort of gang lifestyle. An innocent victim, and you're still having to live your life. You're still having to survive. You're still having to do all this stuff, and the clock don't stop.
And the thing is, it's like when my dad passed away, it's easy for me to sit here and go, "Oh, my dad passed away. I'm not glorifying no lifestyle, right?" But there's someone on the other side who's got a kid who's now lost their dad for 30 years.
That's it.
And it's like, you're hurting as well, because the only time you're going to see your dad is when you're going on a visit. That's not fun. It's your dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that lifestyle is just like, it stinks. It stinks. There is no win. Like, there's still someone I see to this day that used to live on my road, and my dad used to pick me up in convertible Porsches, this, that. What people don't really know is once he passed away and the tax man comes in and the police come in, at the end of it, there's nothing left for us.
Yeah, of course.
Me and my mum are still, because my mum, I watched her hustle. My mum, when I was growing up, she was a cleaner. She ended up being a practice manager at a doctor's surgery. So that's where I get my hustle from, my mum. And but it was hard. Like, as I say, there was moments that in life that are difficult, and it's not as though, I don't want people to think, oh yeah, so he was. We're talking higher than gangland, what he's involved in. Oh yeah, all this money, At the end of the day, you can't take that to the grave, and it weren't left with us. Do you know what I'm saying? If someone else's parents pass away because of a natural cause, and they've worked hard and they've left money, I'd rather be you know what I'm saying? It's not good.
Of course. So to wrap up, Brodie, over the moon that you've now started your therapy. I can't believe it's even more important than any of your PT and anything you're doing there, more. Because if you don't fix one soul and one's inside, we're not fixed. So I'm really glad that you've done that and continue to do that, and I'll keep in touch with you and make sure that journey's smooth. So really, really proud of you. Really proud of the work that you've done in terms of training these footballers and almost showing your mum and all those teachers at the start that thought, here's Brodie, we're going to end up. I think you've now proven that there is a success that can be made. We're not all academic. We're not all going to be A-grade students,
of course.
But we still also got to know that we all got a value in life. So even if you don't do well in school, there's still opportunities, and you might be good with your hands, you might be good with your feet, you might be good with your eyes, media, visual. So there's so many stuff you can get into without being academic. So listen, your story's been really touching, really open. As I say, thanks a lot for coming on here and sharing some stuff. I know it must have been painful reliving some of those moments, but hopefully it's a different type of My Truth podcast today. But hopefully the viewers at home get a lot out of it. Yeah. So thank you for joining.
Thank you,
ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. And as normal now, down below, click on that subscribe button and click on the like button if you like the story. See you next time.